Hey, everybody.
Yep.
Hey.
Mango says, how the fuck can there be a dislike? The show hasn't even started.
I saw that. I was like, what kind of troll got in here? Who let that troll in?
Bitches are haters, man. They're fucking haters.
Well, it might be like spam because I've noticed like in the past couple of months I've gotten like a lot of spam stuff. It's usually like something like www.hotgirls.com, like this is my sister or
They're
something.
disliking your show.
They dislike your shit. They post a dislike.
Maybe.
Now, there's always 2 dislikes usually. Unless it's a real popular show like our Ed and Lorraine Warren where you got like fucking 500 thumbs up and fucking 300 thumbs down.
Well, those are legitimate people that don't like your opinion.
Yeah. They're religious people.
Because I've gotten, that is easily the one I've gotten like the most hate mail about.
Yeah.
And like the most.
Fucking Lorraine Warren. I'm just saying, man, they weren't legit.
Well,
I don't think they were legit.
We're going to have to do
Well, they were on some legit cases, but I don't think they weren't legit.
Yeah, they would just kind of like waltz in and... Hey,
well,
here we
as soon as Ed said that he fought and killed a werewolf, I mean...
Hey, that's a good segue for today.
It is,
It is a very good segue. Look at that.
See?
So you got talent for this shit. Jen, show your new birthday shirt.
Yeah, I showed it yesterday.
Yeah. It's got boobs in it now.
It's got boobs in it now. The kittens have... Hey.
Yeah. That's
sexual assault.
Yeah, some sexual action.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy already.
Yeah.
So we decided, like I said, in case you hadn't, got the memo, that we're actually going to start doing from the matinee. We're going to expand it back to like 2010 or so because I get sick of trying to find stuff from 2020 all the time. So we actually decided to do a 2015 movie called Howl, which is on Shudder, and I think it's also on Tubi. So you can watch it for free or you can watch it on Shudder. Either way, it's up to you. This is actually a British werewolf movie. And it was directed by Paul Hyett, who is the same guy. I'm not sure if this is his first directorial job. But he's the same guy that did the effects for The Descent and Dog Soldiers and The Woman in Black and Attack the Block. So this guy is like... a kind of like well-regarded effects guy, and so he decided that he was going to do his own werewolf movie. And it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was decent. Good. It was decent. All the werewolves are Glenn Danzig.
They are.
Well, the first werewolf is Glenn Danzig. He shows up and looks like fucking the hair and everything. Fucking Glenn Danzig on bad roids. His fucking thick-ass head.
I like the werewolves in this one because they don't look like... I mean, the werewolves in Dog Soldiers are probably my favorite werewolves just because they look... And the ones in The Howling are good, too. But these ones, they went a little more in a man-like direction. But that's cool because they don't want them to like look the same as all the other ones. And he probably didn't want to... Because he had worked on Dog Soldier, he's probably like, well, I don't want them to look like Dog Soldiers because it'll just look like I'm doing that again.
Their back legs had the dog legs on it. That looked good.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to do that.
But the upper bodies kind of look kind of man-like.
It looked like a caveman kind of.
It looked good.
Like atavistic sort of dude.
It looked good.
With like a big old mouth with like all... But
story was good. Look, man, the budget on this thing was like only £1 million. All right, that's nothing.
Yeah. And
like I said before, the British are real good at dealing with a limited budget for a lot of different reasons. All right, I think probably the biggest reason is that England has real acting schools. They got real actors there. You know, I mean, they take the theater very seriously. You know, not so much Hollywood. The best Hollywood actors really a lot of times are British, pretending to be Americans. So they actually care about their craft, you know, and their trade. So you'd have a tendency to have good acting in a British movie, even if it's cheap, not an American movie. A low-budget American movie, you know what I mean? You're basically casted depending on how well you did on the couch, or how much money you contributed, or how much cocaine that you contributed. That's what got you in the movie. All right, it's fucking, you know what I mean? American movies are kind of like organized crime, really. Not so much Britain. So
Oracle mentioned that they said they respect the writer more than Hollywood does.
Yeah,
that is the impression.
That's true too. Yeah. And they try to make a good product, you know, even getting down to like the score and the music, you know. So and the score in this one was good. I judge a movie by its score.
Well, I feel like
if it's got a good score, they give a shit.
It's something that a lot of people don't really think about when you watch a movie, but unless there's like a really shitty one and then you notice it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do feel like it's kind of an underappreciated, especially in horror movies, because so much has to do with like the sound design and stuff.
Yeah.
So I do feel like a lot of people kind of neglect.
Your average low-budget American flick, the score, you don't even notice the score because it's just some generic fucking accents that they put in there every now and then. Maybe they put a song in it, you know, but you don't really notice it that much. And that's a sign of a fucking cheap movie. In a good movie, the score kind of is apparent. You know what I mean? Even though you may be not noticing it, it's just...
Well, it's making you feel the emotions...
making you feel a certain way.
That you're supposed to be feeling.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Without you really, like, being aware
It's
of it.
emotive.
Yeah.
You know? So I constantly watch it. I'm watching for it. So the acting was good. Filmography, the way it was shot was good. Story was okay.
I'm going to say, like, my only critique... Like, the characters, some of them weren't as fleshed out as they could in terms of, like this movie reminded me of Train to Busan. Like,
yeah.
Because it's on a train, and there's, like, a group of characters, like a core group of characters. But where Train to Busan, like, I actually felt deeply, like, I cared about the characters a lot, just how they express themselves and stuff. Like, this movie, I'd say, except for the one dude that me and Jenny both hated and we wanted him dead. That was the only character I felt strongly about. The rest of them were kind of like, okay, like, yeah, you could die. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, yeah. So.
I just keep looking at the budget. For £1 million, this is fucking Citizen Kane.
Well,
yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my only critique is, yes, it does take a little bit of a long time to get for the werewolves to make an appearance. That's the only critique I'm going to give.
There's payoff, though.
There is, yeah. I do like that it takes a while to get there, but, like, because I think this is only 89 minutes long, but once it starts, there's, like, all kind of really good gore and, like, really good werewolves, and there's, like, a lot of werewolves. And there's also a thing where, because I feel like this is kind of hit or miss in a lot of werewolf movies. If you get bit by a werewolf, then you turn into a werewolf. So it's like a zombie kind of thing. So I'm not really sure a lot of werewolf movies do that. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess An American Werewolf in London... He got bit by a werewolf, but then it, like, took until the next month for him to turn into a werewolf. He didn't, like, immediately turn into a werewolf. So I guess there's some wiggle room on that. But yeah, it's weird because... Now, didn't Train to Busan came out in, what, 2016? 2017? Something like that? So it's like, were these being made at the same time? Or did Train to Busan get an idea from this one? Or because this did not get a theatrical release. It basically did a couple of, like, film festivals around the world, and then it just went straight to video and straight to VOD. So I don't know if it was just a case of, you know, maybe the people who made Train to Busan, like, saw this and were like, oh, hey, that's a good idea, except let's do it with, like, fast-moving zombies instead of, like, a pack of werewolves. Because it seemed like there were a lot of, like, you know, the fuck knuckle character that we both hated, that we were just like, die! But, you know what I mean? That guy had an analog in Train to Busan. Like, that really? Businessman that was...
Oh, yeah.
That businessman that was just kind of like, me. It's just like, I'm just going to push old people and children off the train just so the zombies don't eat me. That kind of guy.
But, you know, culturally, that guy was very significant for Korean culture.
Yeah.
Because, you know, having lived in Korea, you know, I'll tell you, Korea is an authoritarian culture, and the average Korean person is, you know, how do I say it politely? I don't want to call them cucks or anything. They're just kind of.
You just did.
I just did call them cucks. They're very responsive to authority, and that particular character in Train to Busan kind of was demonstrating to Korean people that authority doesn't always have your fucking best intentions in mind. That, you know what I mean? They're very corporate and very hierarchical. You know, everything's very much a hierarchy. And, which is, you know, it's a very Eastern way of doing things. They tend to kind of be trusting of authority. And in that particular movie, like, no. The authority in that case only cared about themselves. Which I liked it. I thought that was a great message.
This dude in this movie wasn't really an authority. He was just a passenger, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was just a passenger on the train.
Yeah.
And he kind of, like, tried to, like, drop his nuts and take over, and he was just, like, an irredeemable douchebag.
Yeah, in the Korean version, he's using normal Korean culture to establish his authority and trying to give out orders and get all the organization and getting everybody in lockstep. Not to save them, but to save his own ass.
Yeah.
Which, that was fucking beautiful, the way they wrote that character.
Yeah, so that's one thing. I do think that, like, the character development was better in Train to Busan, but,
Yeah,
you know,
by far.
This one, it's like, I liked, you know, the characters except for that guy, but I didn't remember a lot of their names, and they didn't do, like, a lot of... I remembered the old lady's name was Jenny, because it's the same as my name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I remember that, and I remember, like, her husband saying her name a bunch of times. But other than that, I didn't really remember, because it was just kind of like, you know, the douchebag, the fat guy, the blonde girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the young girl with the phone, like, the noisy chick, or whatever. So I'm not really sure if they did it on purpose, because they were just kind of like, I don't know. It was just kind of like, here's a bunch of strangers on a train. Because that's pretty much...
Oh, the Indian guy. He's like...
Oh, and the Indian guy, yeah. So that's kind of like the whole premise of the movie is basically they're on this train. It's a red eye. And they hit a deer. And then they're out in a dead zone. So, you know, nobody's... Because it's real remote. And I guess so nobody's cell phones work. And they can't... Like, the radio isn't working. So they hit a deer. And the fuel line breaks. So they're stuck out there in the middle of the night. And then the conductor of the train, played by Sean Pertwee, who was also in Dog Soldiers, which was another British werewolf movie. He doesn't last long in this one, though. Spoiler alert. So he's the conductor. He goes off the train and disappears. They don't know where he's at. And so the rest of the workers on the train and the passengers have to, and there's not that many of them, so they have to kind of like pull together and figure out how they're going to get the train going again. And like then they find out that there's werewolves. And the werewolves seem to be able to like... tear through the side of the train. I mean, because don't they get that fat guy like out? They tear off like the top of the fucking roof of the thing and like pull him out the bathroom or whatever, or they climb in the bathroom.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they did.
The only thing that kind of disturbed me about the train aspect of the movie is the train stopped. It sat on tracks for a long time. You would think there'd be another train behind it.
Well, I was just like, I know the whole middle of nowhere thing, but I was like, dude, did they call emergency services? Like,
yeah.
I don't live in England, but I remember being kind of small and tight. Like, how fast can a freaking ambulance or a plane or something, like, you know, there's a lady bleeding out, and I think they did call for help. They talked to someone, didn't they?
They did. Well, what ended up happening was they were trying to call somebody on the radio, and then it was all staticky, and I guess they couldn't get a message across.
The chick's phone worked, though, because
nobody's phone worked, but then the girl's phone was the only one that worked. Like, she got some bars, but then she got killed, and I guess, like, the phone got destroyed or lost or whatever, like, because they found her ass later. But yeah, so I mean, as I said, it was kind of like a long build up, and you know, the characters are not super well developed. They do try to do, you know, like the blonde lady and the teenage girl like kind of have a little conversation, and I liked the scene with the old guy talking about back in the 60s, like, you know, this train like went like derailed like out in the same area, and like when the people got there to rescue them, they like everyone was dead and they never figured out what was going on. So I liked that kind of campfire story kind of aspect. So they were like calling back to some other shit.
And there was that little romance going on too with the people that worked on the train.
Yeah. Like the guy he was like the kind of the main protagonist. Yeah. And I liked his, because he had kind of a character arc where at the beginning, he was trying to get a supervisor position, but he didn't get it. And then he found out this other douche that worked there, like, got it and was, like, rubbing it in his face. And then he was, like, asking out this girl that, like, you know, sold the chicken sandwiches on the train. And she was, like, trying to let him down and stuff. So that whole arc of the thing was, like, him trying to, like, man up and, like, fight the werewolves off. And I'm not going to, like, spoil the end, but I did, like, the end was very satisfying, I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like what can be.
I like what happened to that one dude that I hated. I was like, all right, yay, because I was like, but you better not let that bitch get away. But yeah, it's like I thought this was like not the best. It's not as good as Dog Soldiers. I mean, Dog Soldiers, like I said, that's easily one of my favorite werewolf movies. But it was pretty damn good. I thought it was pretty like entertaining.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't see anything, you know, wrong with it. I mean, it was, like I said, not quite as good as Dog Soldiers or The Howling or something. But in there, it was in there. You know what I mean? It was. It's a different kind of werewolf visually. But I thought
like that they did something different.
Yeah, I thought that was acceptable. I think they looked really cool in the dark.
It looked like a scary giant-mouthed caveman with dog legs, kind of. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then they were kind of furry with pointy
glowing
ears.
eyes and ears and stuff.
And I especially like the scenes of them in the dark, like when they got off the train a couple times and were like trying to like find the conductor and shit, and then like you saw like these little shadows with like the glowing eyes and shit. That was cool.
It looked demonic.
Yeah.
It looked demonic, kind of like a wolf demon man.
Yeah. Did they really go into like why they're there or where they came from or anything.
Well, I guess because that old guy had said the thing about the train derailing in 1963, I think he said. So I guess the werewolves had just always been there.
Yeah, I wonder what they were just eating deer until this
I guess
day
so.
they went for people
Because
again.
I guess the deer that the train hit at the beginning was maybe running away from them.
Oh.
And then, like,
And
the
they're
train
like, you
stopped.
took our dinner, we're taking you.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, hey, there's little meat sticks in there. Let's get those. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it was.
Maggie
I mean,
says
that's
that-
the first thing I thought.
Megan says Howl is on the Horror Channel in the UK tonight.
Well,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I said, over here it's on Shudder and it's on Tubi as well.
Yeah.
Fourth Drawer Down said, I used to commute by train in the early 90s. I would have been overjoyed to find a werewolf on board. I know that feeling.
Somebody asked if we finished Pale Rider. Yeah, we finished Pale Rider. What'd you think of Pale Rider?
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Yeah,
It's different than High Plains Drifter, like, in a way, but it
Similar.
compares, yeah.
So similar, yeah.
I like
High Plains Drifter is better because he fucks people over for a lot longer throughout that whole fucking movie.
There's way less action, but the characters are very good in Pale Rider, so. The side note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked both of those. But yeah, High Plains Drifter is like probably easily my favorite.
Yeah,
Western.
he kind of had that demonic element.
Yeah,
And the other
because
one
I
was
just liked
kinda
that kind of
angelic.
supernatural. Like,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know? Somebody said I like the werewolves from Underworld. I don't even remember what those
I just
werewolves
counted.
look like.
I was like, yeah, Underworld, the version of vampires and the version of the werewolves are, like, perfect.
I remember liking the first one, but I don't think I liked any of the other sequels.
I don't know if you watched the third one. That was the
I don't think
historic, like, back in time one, Rise of the Lycans. So there's a lot more werewolves in that one.
I might have seen that. Because for a long time, remember that channel that Robert Rodriguez does, like El Rey?
Yeah.
And what they would do for a long time, like every weekend, they would have like an all-day like movie marathon. It's like, we're going to show, all the Phantasm movies. We're going to show all the Godzilla movies. We're going to show, they're not going to do that. But I think they showed like all the Underworld ones. So I think I was kind of like in and out. Like
There's
watching
only
them.
3, right?
No, I
there's
think
a bunch
there's
of
like
them?
5 now,
There's
but
a
I
five now.
I think I hated 4 and 5. Like, just stop after 3 and you're good.
Okay.
Which is usually the case with most movies. After 3, you're kind of
Yeah, I think once you get to 3 is usually like, well, okay, but I don't really need any more of that.
Yeah, please stop, and then they don't stop.
What I remember of them is they had a cute girl starring in them, and everything was really blue. The whole fucking movie.
The vampires are
shot
like,
blue.
they're like industrial as hell.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, like
great.
a
I love
blue
it.
lens.
Vampires are sexy. Their castle, like the whole night.
Just like that
scape.
sexy vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get you a vinyl
Yeah.
suit and run around with your little
Yeah.
guns, shoot some silver bullets and some ultraviolet bullets. And
Okay, yeah. All
send
right.
warriors onto the city. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit. And it's
Okay.
modern,
Yeah,
So,
all right.
Glowing Turtle
Okay.
wants to know if there's any Western werewolf movies.
I wish, if that is the
There's
case.
gonna be. I
no,
mean,
I don't think so.
I can't think of one.
They're
though.
probably really shitty, but...
Yeah, there's probably, I'm sure, like Sci-Fi or Asylum
Yeah.
or something.
Probably
made
some
one.
Mexican ones. Ask fucking Kanavatslan
Oh,
next
like,
time he's on.
I
I
forget
bet
what
you-
the name of that is. Yeah,
Because, yeah.
Because I've seen like zombie westerns. I think I've seen
Yeah.
like vampire western. I don't know if I've seen any werewolf. There's
Me-
not a lot of werewolf movies.
Mexicans would like make a fucking Western luchador movie.
I would watch that.
Or like a, yeah.
Well, there it is. Like on Mystery Science Theater, they did a
Western vampire
They
movies?
did a luchador and
Yeah.
vampire women.
Yeah.
Samson versus the vampire women.
Yeah.
Samson the Silver Mask Man.
Yeah, but I'd imagine back in the 60s or 70s, they probably
It was
did.
terrible.
Yeah, they probably had some of that shit from Mexico.
I mean, it made a good MST episode, but I don't think I could sit through it without that because it was
It would've
like
been boring.
It was really, really boring. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of the movies that they do are.
Yeah.
You can't watch them without their fucking jokes. All right, so that'll do it for today's live stream. We'll see you guys again not until Saturday. We're gonna take a break from live
this is
stream.
my last show.
This
so.
is Sophie's last live
Thanks
stream.
for putting up with me for 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah. I'm sure Sophie will be back.
Yeah, she'll come back and visit
Yeah.
us maybe next year. That would be good.
Yeah.
If the world doesn't go to shit, I'll be back.
Can't
We'll
go that
see.
much to shit. That's
We'll
fine.
see. Keep it going, guys.
All right, so we will see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for dropping by. Bye.